I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, and I'm located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Monroe, Washington. And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Started.
Okay.
All right, we're started.
We've started.
Yes.
Are we live?
We're live.
We're live.
We are.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi.
How was your day
Long
today?
time no see.
Yes, long time.
My day was day back to work. It's Wednesday. We normally do a Monday thing, so I'm actually right after working, so I haven't quite gone to the studio or had much of a day yet. So I felt productive at work today, which is good. I feel like lately, the last few weeks, I've actually been in a little lull and not feeling like I get much work done, and I get distracted and all the things, and I get to lunchtime, and I'm like, okay, I guess I got to eat now. And I'm like, okay, we've got like 4 hours or whatever. And then I just coat and like the day's over like that. I don't know. It's just some days are like that. But yeah, I'm hoping to get in the studio tonight. Do you?
Yeah.
You feel like the day flies by?
Yeah, or I just feel like I don't do anything during the day.
Yeah. I feel like my days are getting shorter. I don't know. For some reason.
They should be getting longer.
Me. Yeah, I guess realistically with the time of the year it should be, right? But
yeah.
All right, so how about you? You're actually in a different place today.
I am. I'm at my out-of-state best friend's house. I have to say out-of-state because my in-state best friend gets mad. I'm at one of my friends from college. It's her house in San Pedro, California, and I drove down from Claycon West and then came and stayed with her, and then I'm actually going to the airport tonight, but flying out tomorrow at 6 a.m. because my friend is not an early morning riser, so we're going to do the late.
How far is San Pedro from the airport?
Not far, but we have to do the late night drop-off.
Okay.
I'd have to get there
you're just going to stay overnight?
Yeah, I'd have to get there like 4 a.m. And nobody wants that.
Yeah, that's early.
I'd rather stay up till 4 a.m. and just...
Well, our flight out from Claycon West, and we flew out of Las Vegas, and it technically left at like 2 a.m.
Yeah, that's insane.
So we got to the airport at about 11, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just planning. Hopefully they'll let me through security, and then they should if it's the same day, and then I can just park it out on a wall or something, go to sleep.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, so today I've done literally nothing today. Well, no, I've edited a few things, and then I tried to get my taxes done. But
I got my taxes done yesterday.
Well, not those taxes. I tried to get my employee tax stuff done, and then I'll do my retail stuff. But for some reason my password that is saved for all of them, that was the only thing that was keeping me going, is not the right password, so I have to figure that out.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, I gotta figure that out, and, yeah, so that's that. Yeah. So, Ryan, tell them what we're gonna talk about, and then I'm gonna go stop that laundry machine.
Okay, so we just got back from Claycon West. It is Wednesday, January 22nd. The conference ended on Sunday, and, I got back home on Monday, so... We're going to talk about our experiences at Claycon West. It was my first time there. It was Becca's first time there. It was only the second time that this conference has happened, period. So it's still pretty early on, and it's kind of growing and kind of get going. But we'll kind of share our experiences from that. Becca actually presented there, and I was kind of I roomed with like
he was
5
the
other
cheerleader.
presenters. I was the cheerleader, the assistant, Yeah.
He was a lot of help.
Felt like, yeah, so that was fun. I basically was kind of the helper for.
He was like in the Cool Kids Club without actually having to do any work of the Cool Kids Club.
Yeah, I had a lot less stress than everyone else, I bet.
Yeah.
So it was both our first time there.
Yeah.
And it was our second conference, I guess. I mean, I've been in Sika twice before, but that was my first time there, and then that was, a lot different of a conference than like in Sika would be.
Yeah, totally.
Just because it's so small.
It was super small. So there was about, I don't know if you said this, but there was about 200 people there. I think they had like 240 maybe was the total. I'm not sure, but last year they only had 100. I think it went up to like 120 from people like at the door, and so it doubled from last year. And it was quaint. It was like in 4 different rooms in the
Right.
conference center, and then there was a room where everybody was selling their stuff, like the presenters had tables that they could sell their pieces at. And then there was a presenter room for like the workshops, like the smaller workshops, and then the big room was for the like main artists, and that was
Yeah,
Cat
like the
Tran,
long-term demos.
right? And who were the long-term demos? Kevin Kowalski, Jessica Putnam, Cat Tran, and her husband, which I forgot,
Robert Lawrence.
Robert Lawrence. I just forgot his last name, which happens
Yeah.
a lot. Also, Kevin Kowalski found out that I mix up his name all the time this week, so that was fun. Um, and and
And then there was one more room. What was the other room?
and then the last room was for vendors, and that was there's a let me see if I can name them all. I won't be able to, but there was this texture lady. I want to say Aardvark was there. Scott was there. Garrity Tools was there. Um, Klein Spray Glazes was there with Tom Coleman. Clayscapes was there. Mako was there.
Shimpo,
Shimpo.
Nidec,
Uh,
Mako. Did you say Mako?
yep, Mako, and then
Georgie's.
the tool.
Did you say Brent, Amico?
Brent, yeah, I said that one. And then Clay Planet was there. Right next to Clay Planet was Dolan Tools, and then right next to her was like the texture rollers that Jessica Putnam uses, and then right next to her was it was another clay person.
If it was on the end, it was Georgie's.
It was Georgie's.
But anyways,
Okay.
there were a lot of vendors. There were probably 12 or so vendors.
Yeah.
15 maybe. So it was a pretty big vendor group. And then overall, I guess the presenter sale, overall, how many? Like 12 presenters total? Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it wasn't all the presentations. So Becca mentioned like the smaller workshop room. Each of those presentations were an hour and a half,
Yeah. And they were packed.
which was different than most like NCCA presentations or whatever that are like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and they're squeezing a ton of them in there. So those were hour and a half. You know, you got screens on both sides. And actually, I didn't even notice this, but there were no slideshows. So there was no PowerPoint presentations.
There was no PowerPoint. It was all like, let's do this workshop.
It was it was all talking and showing process and like demonstrating technique, and stuff like that. So I didn't realize that until after the fact, but you know, they had like iPad Archon mounts holding iPads and stuff.
Archon, what is the word? Sponsored it.
Yeah, so they had like the mounts with iPads on them, and then they were projecting to the screens in the room so people could actually see the details without having to be like right up on the stage.
Yeah. It was a good setup, I feel like. I know that the first day they had a bit of technical difficulties. I don't know what from, but they weathered the storm better than they could have. They could have done a lot worse. But I
thought it was great.
Yeah, I feel like they pulled through very gracefully. We weren't there right at 8 a.m., or at least I wasn't. But yeah, we got there right at the beginning, and Joe Bott and Emily Bott are the people that put it on. They own the Tilted Kiln in St. George, Utah. And if you're in Utah, you should go buy your supplies from them. But I got there and they were like, they just looked like a train had run over them. They looked so stressed. And Joe's like one of those people, he seems like super cool, and then I think that he like wears his stress on his sleeve, and his wife's like, "Oh, we're fine. We'll figure it out." So like I was like, "Do you guys have like bags for the pieces?" And he's like, no.
Yeah, so
We're
when
like,
people buy
yeah,
artist work,
me and Andrew
Becca was like, "Do
me
you
and
have any
Andrew
way to pack
Linderman went
and?"
and bought, we went and bought like bags at Staples and then stole the paper from his shop. Like, I was like, yeah, you know what? And in a conference that small, I think that it's hard to do it by yourself, and so it was good, and it made me feel better that I could lend a helping hand, and
Yeah,
and everybody understood. It's not like people were all pissed off. Like it was just, it was like whatever. It was cool, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah. And honestly, I didn't even go into the main exhibit or the main workshop hall, which was like the biggest room that I don't know how many people would that hold.
probably
I want
like
to say we had
300.
probably 300. Okay, so it was really big. It was a stage that was elevated maybe 3 feet or something, and then
Yeah,
they had the dimmer room, and they had lights on them in the front
yeah,
and stuff. So I didn't even go in there until the last hour and a half of the conference.
yeah. There was a lot to do. Yeah, but the main workshops were really really good actually. They were kind of
Yeah,
just like mellow, and it was cool because it wasn't like, I mean, it was kind of like the ones from Mexico where they get it was pretty much the ones from Mexico where they get two people up there and they talk for so and so an hours. But the difference between that is that the ones in Mexico have like 500 people in them, and these ones had like 10 to 20 at a time, and people would kind of rotate out. So it was very like low key and like, hey, what are you doing? Like like yelling up to the
right.
front, and I
You
thought
can
that was
actually
cool.
hear them, or they can hear you from the audience or whatever, like what
Right.
your question is,
And
and
you
the
could
audience
walk
can hear
up.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you could walk up to the pieces and be like, "Oh, what is this?" So that was good. Um, the let's see. Oh, we all brought stuff. I think Andrew Linderman brought the most stuff because he drove. But
yeah.
um,
You're talking about for the presenter cell?
yeah, for the presenter sale, we all got a table, like an 8 by 3 table, and oh, Kyle. Okay, we didn't really say who the presenters were, the regular presenters. So Kyle,
Sure.
what's his last name?
Guyman?
Kyle Guyman,
Guyman?
Kevin Kowalski, Becca Otis, Ryan Reich, Victoria Palomar. I don't know how to say her last name very well. Do you know? You don't.
No.
She's
Not
got
not
purple hair. Victoria Palomari.
not properly.
I know she's Swedish, so it's kind of hard. Um, and well, we're gonna have Ryan's gonna find it online, and he's gonna tell us.
I got my list here.
Well, Victoria became one of our really good friends on this trip, and it was awesome. But then Andrew Linderman, um, Lisa and Alex Lapella, and then Gail. I forgot. I don't know Gail's last name.
Gail Smith.
Gail Smith.
Um,
And Tom Coleman was
Denise.
there too.
Yeah, Denise
And
McElroy
Denise.
Young, and I think Sumi von Dassow. She was the very last one.
Oh, right.
You were already gone by then, but
Yeah, I was gone by then. So I went through the tables. That's the only way. Denise didn't have a table of stuff. What was her last name again? Denise.
Denise McElroy Young.
Okay, say Victoria's last name.
Oh gosh.
You can find Victoria at Claytastic.
Victoria. It looks like it's said.
Just spell it.
It's spelled Pamlenyi. Pamlenyi, but that's not how you say it.
Just spell it.
It's Pamleny.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay, see, clearly, Victoria, we apologize for butchering your name. But her Instagram is at Claytastic Victoria, I believe.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we had like a really fun lineup of people, and it was good. I hadn't met some of the people that were presenting, and then me, Ryan, Victoria, Ryan, and Andrew, and then Ryan's wife, all stayed in a house that we found on Airbnb, and it was like
And it looked like Arrested Development.
it was
apparently.
like a real life Arrested Development. You walked outside and there was nothing except for a tractor. That was a tractor that was building the development around us. So that was great. But yeah.
Yeah, did you mention Tom Coleman was the keynote speaker
Tom
on
Coleman
Saturday?
was the keynote speaker. That was really, I really liked his speech like a lot. There was of course some things that I didn't agree with, as I hope not everybody can agree with everybody. That's the way the life works.
Right.
But what I do feel like is that he gave a speech that was extremely thought provoking, and I don't think that anybody left his talk without thinking, "Am I doing this right?" like,
Yeah.
like he's
It
a
definitely prompted conversation when everyone exited the hall.
yeah. He sorry. He very much has opinions about certain things, which he should. He's 75 and he's been in this business since he was 20. I feel like you should have opinions by then. And
Yeah.
and he told us them, which was good. And
Right.
and I felt like it was really good, and he, I think he was speaking to people that were trying to get into this and also people that were in it already, saying like, you need to think about this thing, like you're responsible for what you're producing. That was the overall message, I feel like.
Yeah, that's the most that I got out of it for sure. And the one thing that's a little different about this like schedule and the way that things flowed, everything fell from 2:00 on a Friday until 5 on a Sunday.
Yeah.
So basically, the entire conference was over a weekend, which is not the same for NCECA. I don't know about other clay conferences, but you can go to this thing over the weekend and it doesn't affect your work schedule. Like I only had to take a day and a half off because I got there on Thursday technically, but
right.
If you're on the West Coast, like you could easily take like half a day off work and you could probably go to the entire conference and be back to work on Monday, which is good.
Yeah, and
for the side business person that's not doing this full time.
right, and there wasn't any workshops on Friday, so really you could go to Saturday and Sunday and not miss much. There was a pottery swap on Friday night, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, there was the kiln maintenance thing at the Tilted Kiln on
Oh,
Friday
you're right. No,
afternoon,
there was. You're
but
right.
I didn't catch that. But
You know what? The kiln maintenance with the lapellas, I literally walked in and she said something and I was like, "What? You're supposed to do that?" Like she said that basically, you're not supposed to lock your kiln lid, and I had no idea that that was the case. And if you have a lock, you're not supposed to lock it because you need the kiln to kind of like move. And I was in there for like 2 minutes and I learned that. And I was like, I already learned something from this workshop. And I haven't even been here. So that was great.
How did you sell?
Oh, I sold well. I was the $20 mug club member of the group, which I don't think anybody was surprised about. So everything that I had was $20, $25. And then I had a few $45 and $60 items. Those were the ones that I've been working on recently that were kind of more like painted and like took a little bit more time. And so I sold all but 3 pieces.
Sweet.
I can't remember, we counted it out. It was like $800 of pieces, I think, $800 about.
Yeah, I think it sounds right.
And I think it was like 30 or 40 pieces, and maybe 30, and I sold all but 3. So that was good. I actually, in my workshop was Sunday, and I was like, please go buy my pieces because I don't want to take them home. I will not be taking them home. I probably would have like broken them or like chucked them into the forest or the desert or something. Did an Instagram story. There's a
or like send it somewhere and put a little note with it that says free pottery.
Free pottery.
Take it with you.
Yeah, so and then the 3 that I did come home with I'm giving to Jen, so it works out. Yeah, so I was happy about that. And
what happened before when you were unpacking your pots that you said that you did not know was happening?
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. So we were like, we weren't unpacking. I was just putting my stuff on the table, and we were counting out how much product I had. And we're like, oh, it's like whatever, $100, $600, and Andrew Linderman's like, I hope you'd figured how much you needed to cover your costs for this before you came. And I was like, and he's like, well, you're getting paid $250 to be here, and then this and this and this. And I was like, what? We're getting paid? I had no idea. Like, I read I read the sheet. I'm sure that I learned at some point that we were getting paid. Like, I read the sheet, but I completely forgot almost everything that was on that sheet. And so, I don't know. I was like, okay, cool. Like, that just goes to show you that I would have been there regardless.
Yeah. So you definitely paid for your trip, would you say?
I definitely did pay for my trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my employee to work my trip. So
nice.
That works out. Yeah. I do want to say though, however, on a not super exciting note, but so I'm sure that Kevin probably gets this a lot. I don't know about Ryan and Victoria as much. I'm sure that Victoria got it some, but because a lot of people know me from the podcast, but also Clay Buddies, and we've mentioned this before about Nsika too, but people tend to think that they know you, which is fine. I've felt that way about people too. And a lot of people came up to me and was like, hey, like, I want to hug you. Like, I feel like I know you. And that's totally fine. It is not fine to come up and hug somebody without telling them that you're going to be, like, without telling them
who you are.
So, that's something that I want to put out there. If you are somebody who's not in the public eye, but is in love with somebody that is, or like, or, is fascinated by somebody that is, it's totally fine to go up and introduce yourself to them, but do not come up and, like, hug them from the back or anything like that without acknowledging who you are and, like, kind of...
Yeah, like touching someone.
Yeah, like getting
just,
permission.
Like making contact with people that they don't even know who you are. I mean, you might know who they are, but...
Yeah. So we had one significant issue with that this weekend and a few others, but not really. Most people were totally fantastic.
It's more just like awkward. It's like, we assume you knew who that was, but right. I don't know.
Yeah, and introduce yourself. Like, say who you are, maybe some context with who you are, especially because I don't remember everybody that I meet. Yeah.
And you're going to see most of the people, like, around over the 2 days. It's not a big enough conference where you don't recognize faces day to day. You're going to see people, like, multiple times throughout the day. So
yeah, so if you don't present yourself well the first time, it might be kind of weird the second or third. And like I said, I think all but maybe one person did this, and
yeah.
And and it was somebody of the opposite sex, so it's none of all you women that came up. You guys are all fine.
And I feel like I was saying this, like, I think it's a familiarity and, like, an acceptance that because you're a female, that it's might be more, like, acceptable. Like, no one's going to come up to me and just randomly hug me.
Right.
But I don't know. Maybe that's not.
Yeah, I mean.
I think that's part of it. But
I think that every single woman that came up to me that hugged me was like, hi, I'm sorry, I have to give you a hug. And that is actually okay. Like, that was fine with me. Like... But
did they introduce themselves, or did
they usually introduce themselves during the hug or like right after the hug, which is totally fine, completely fine, as long as I know as it's coming. But yeah, so, but otherwise, I think that if you have to remember that I am not. If I don't know who you are, that doesn't make me your friend. Like, this particular person that had the issue, I had no idea who it was. Like, even at the end of the conference, I had no idea who it was.
Yeah, I don't know that we knew what the name was.
Yeah, we don't know what his name was. And I'm a 29-year-old woman, and so, it's, Yeah. So if it's somebody of the opposite sex, especially somebody older, then it's a little bit different. So, yes.
Yeah. Just be kind and be like, "Hi, I really love your podcast, or I really
Yeah.
love watching you on Clay Buddies. I'm so and so. Nice to meet you."
Nice to meet you. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I can't stress enough that most everybody did that well. But,
Yeah.
you know.
I would say totally come up to me and Nsika and say like, "Hey." I mean, maybe don't like give me a hug, but say hey,
Somebody
and then
body tackle him.
maybe
No, I'm
we'll see.
kidding.
But
Don't do that. Yeah. Um, I was like, man, I never want to be famous. Like, how stressful would that be? That's crazy. But, yeah, it was a lot of fun. We ate at, like, the best Hawaiian place. We ate some really good food while we were out there, and it was all so cheap.
Yeah, it was pretty reasonable.
Yeah.
I had the Big Bear Diner twice in one day.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. I guess that's a chain, but then we went to this Hawaiian barbecue place that was really good. So.
Yeah. By the way, I think I know how to say Victoria's last name. I think it's Palmani is how you say it.
Okay. Good.
Victoria, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's Palmani.
Yeah, well.
But there's a little bit more of an accent to it. There's an accent over the E, so it's like.
Yeah.
Something like that. But.
Something like that. I believe her last name isn't Swedish. So, she's just from Sweden. But, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I drove back. I was the one that drove back from Utah to California, and that's because I get really car sick, and so I was mentioning that to Victoria, and she was like, you should tell Ryan that because he really doesn't want to drive. And I was like, okay. So I ended up driving the 6 hours back, and that was fun. We had some good conversations on the way back. And then,
did you get in and out on the way back?
No, we got Chipotle.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it was in Barstow, so I really liked Chipotle, and I knew it wasn't going to make me sick, and not that a lot of food doesn't make me sick, but, like when you know that there's like it's a solid choice. I felt like Chipotle was a solid choice.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, when I was sharing the stories throughout the conference, I was documenting pretty good, and I think I sent all of you all some good shots from your presentations. Some people were like asking me and DMing me like, "What? You can microwave raku? That's crazy." Mm-hmm. So I talked to Denise actually through DM. I think maybe I'll talk with her, or we can talk with her about that on like a podcast or something.
Yeah,
people are super interested in like how the heck you can do that.
I know, it was really cool, honestly, like how she was doing it.
Yeah,
I've never done raku, but if I was going to, I would do it on jewelry, like she did it, and in a microwave, because that literally takes no effort.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of equipment and stuff for that. It's a lot more affordable.
It was funny because they like realized the day before the conference, they're like, wait, we can't do this inside. and so they had to kind of like move her outside at last minute, which I think from what I hear, it was great, and it turned out fine. But yeah,
last minute adjustments. And then Victoria's talk about basically the poor man's lithograph,
so cool,
was really cool, which is essentially like using a laser printer to create
a wax resist stencil.
A wax resist stencil, and then you would paint on a slip or whatever underglaze onto that paper, and then you would transfer that to clay, which is super cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the opposite of like screen printing,
right?
Where you print, you're kind of painting in color into the negative, and then transferring it. So it was pretty sweet. I was like, whoa. Didn't know you could do that.
I know. I was like, this would be so much easier to do tests for mugs, like for mug clubs or anything like that, because I've always had to do the because I screen print, and it'd be
you create the screen
instead of like making the screen print. It'd be really nice to kind of test it on a piece of paper first. So I'm happy. I'm very happy that she told us about that. I never even knew about it.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have Victoria on in the future as well
Oh, yeah.
to talk about that process.
And she is like one of the most interesting people I think I've ever met, just in general. She does props for a living. So.
Yeah, she makes props. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else about the conference? What would you say? What would you say about St. George? I guess maybe.
St. George is beautiful. Well, and you went up to Zion. Or no,
Yeah, it was
Rachel
great.
went
Well,
to
I went
Zion,
to.
and you went
Yeah,
up
I
on
went
a
to
hike.
Snow Canyon. Yeah, we went to Snow Canyon on Friday morning.
Mm-hmm.
So we got there Thursday night, and then Friday morning until about 2 or so. I was like, okay, I got some time. Like, let's leave, and went to Snow Canyon and hiked for maybe like 3 hours or so. Pretty sweet. Yeah, the weather is great that time of year too. I thought it was gonna be colder actually, but it was like perfect. There's so much sunshine that it makes it so much more bearable.
Yeah, it was
during
beautiful.
January.
And you know what was actually one of my favorite parts about the weekend was how like I've been to conferences, or I've like shared Airbnbs with people before and stuff, and like inevitably nobody's like really on the same page like financially as far as like what food they want to get, because you always go to that like grocery run. I don't know about you, but I've always gone to like a collective grocery run before you like start your weekend or whatever.
You're like, what do we get?
And you're like, what do we get? And I feel like all of us just meshed so well together.
Yeah.
And Andrew wasn't there yet, but he meshed regardless. And like, I think each of us spent like, I don't know how much you spent on food, but I spent like $30, maybe 40.
It was probably something like that.
Yeah, like $30. Like we all spent like $30, and that was like it. And we all ate lunch behind the conference center outside on the picnic tables.
Yeah,
and it had
peanut butter and jelly crew.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and carrots and hummus, and it was nice to not have to be it was nice to just be on the same page.
Yeah, saving yourself one extra experience of being like, where are we gonna go eat?
Right.
And then everyone's indecisive about where we go eat, and then it's like, I want to go somewhere cheap, or I want to go somewhere close, or I don't want to wait that long, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was definitely nice, and like Ryan made us breakfast sandwiches in the morning, and
not me.
What?
Ryan Reich. I said not me.
Ryan Reich. R squared. R squared made us breakfast sandwiches in the morning, and and he brought his fancy coffee up, and then we all had snackies at the end of the day and stuff. It was nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah.
And then you all even got some studio time in. Like the whole first night and second night was like you all getting prepped for your workshops.
Yeah.
Which was cool because I don't know what else other attendees are doing in the evenings, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were there till like midnight, I think. The night we actually did a podcast, a roundtable podcast with Andrew, Ryan, Victoria, Denise, me, and Ryan.
Yeah.
Denise and Victoria were kind of doing their own things, but they did pipe in a few times, and that was fun. I'm just editing that right now, actually.
Yeah, I think that'll probably be out before you hear this episode, but
I don't know. We'll see.
Should be good.
This episode's gonna be easier to edit than that one because there was a lot of.
That's true.
There was a lot of things we could not
see.
add into it, but yeah, we'll see how it works. So. Yeah, I liked it.
And St. George was like, it was so small. Like if you're driving through town, you can get from one end of town to the other end of town and like pass through St. George in like 30 minutes in a vehicle.
That's huge.
What? That's huge? That's not huge.
You can get through my town in 4 minutes.
Okay, sorry. In relation to my city. In relation to my town.
I don't know how big
it felt kind of small. I don't know. Maybe because, there weren't like big interstates running through the city, and like our Airbnb looked like it was a lot further, but it was like 10 minutes from the conference center. So everything was pretty good. I don't know how it would be getting around without a car though. That might be a little tough.
I've heard it. I don't think it was good. There's no like buses. It's not a bus friendly.
But we rented a car from Las Vegas, and it was pretty good.
The
We
the
didn't.
population is 84,000, so
Okay.
that's about 4 times the size of my town. But I felt like it was definitely sprawled out. It was, especially in towns on the Midwest, West Coast. Um, they have a lot more space to spread out. So
Desert. Yeah.
yeah, so they can, and so they do, which is fine. But yeah,
It felt small to me.
right.
It was cool though, like eating lunch and you see the mountains in the distance and like in the morning when we went to the conference center on Saturday morning, I think there were like some hot air balloons going up
Yeah,
in the field, which was really cool. There were like 3 of them. I was like, Rachel, you need to go out and see that.
it was really pretty for sure.
So,
I think I personally, and have always felt this way, is that Utah is the most beautiful state in the country. It's got all of it. It's got the mountains, it's got the desert, it's got the forest, it's got like everything except for being right next to the ocean.
yeah, it was great. And then on the way back, so I told you we left at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So we left St. George and we were like, okay, we got to drive to Vegas, whatever. And then we got there, okay, we got to get some dinner. And then Rachel, my wife, always likes to hit tiki bars, like anywhere we go. There was no tiki bar in St. George, but we did have a fishbowl drink at the little like after party thing on Saturday night. So that was good. But we hit a tiki bar in Las Vegas, which was pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
Hit a tiki bar that we hadn't gone to and then went to the airport and all good. Pretty sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. There was nothing bad about this trip at all. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess the only thing would be if you have to get a car. It's a little weird to get to. I mean, you have to either fly into the tiny airport at St. George,
Right.
or
There's a drive. It was like an
get
hour.
from Las Vegas. And we drove to and from in the evening, so I don't really know what that drive looks like during the day. Was it nice during the day? You left during the daytime, right?
Yeah, no, it was, oh my gosh, it was beautiful. Like there was this one canyon that we went through and we're like, whoa. You're like literally driving through huge rocks that are just sliced in the middle. And they're big red rocks with the lines in them and everything. It was awesome.
I missed that.
Yeah, but it was only like 15 minutes and then it was dry. It was like flat. So,
It was like
yeah.
But yeah, it was really nice. I think I'll go back next year. I want to try to probably present next year. I don't know what topic I'd present on, but I don't know. What like improvements or things would you say it could use?
The conference?
Yeah. Or what would you like to see in it?
I don't know.
I think I'd like to see like a few shorter
Oh, yes,
sessions.
I know what okay, yeah, go on.
Like some 30 or 45-minute sessions that were focused on certain things that maybe they're business related or just talking about a certain perspective on some topic. So maybe it's kind of like the people that are on stage, but maybe they don't have to be doing a technique or something. Or maybe it's just like you and I, like throwing and we're doing something and talking about a certain topic and bouncing each ideas off. But I think something like that could be cool instead of an hour and a half at a time.
Right.
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was saying that I think it'd be really fun to have a business panel discussion or maybe like a panel discussion with different people in the field. Like for instance, Joe Bott, who puts on the program, is like he took over the Tilted Kiln a couple years ago, and every year he's almost doubled his revenue. And it would be really cool to hear actual numbers from somebody like that, and then maybe somebody who's full-time potter, like just hitting it 1,000 pots, like somebody like Rebecca Graves, not somebody like me, because I don't think I'm qualified for that, but like somebody that actually sells pots, and that's pretty much the only thing they do. And then a teacher,
Yeah.
then somebody like a teacher, and then maybe somebody that's like a studio teacher, where they don't have the paint-a-pot, because Joe has the paint-a-pot, but they just have like students that they teach, that they have like members,
Yeah.
um, that would be cool.
What would you want from a teacher? Like talking about how to teach students that are learning clay, whether it's in a university or high school or
No, I just think it would
just
be cool to have
general
like
studio setting?
no, I think it'd be cool to have like a panel discussion with those 4 different types of people.
Oh, okay. Just the panel
Yeah.
part.
And so like a high school teacher and then like a studio teacher would be cool. And just to have like the 4 different perspectives, because I think what I noticed that was that like, Kyle and Kevin and Ryan they all kind of like connect. And he had said this too, and they all kind of like connect on this like high school teacher level. And there's like it's like kind of like an unwritten club, I suppose, but like they all go through the same like struggles, and they all, have to deal with the same administration problems and all those things that you never would have like I don't know anything about that, that's something that they have to deal with on a daily basis. And it might be nice to hear like what they're going through, and kind of like their experience with clay, and the struggles that they have on the educational side. Now, I do like I like the direction that ClayCon West is going, that seems to be a bit opposite of NCECA, in the sense of it's not going towards education as much as it is going towards it's not going towards higher education as much as it is going, hey, let's educate the public. Does that make sense?
Educate. I'm thinking more like what type of presentations they're having. It seems like they're educating makers more like
Right.
about technique and process than talking about the ethics of wood firing and the atmosphere and climate or something like that.
Yeah, and like I remember last year we had a lot of or at NCECA we went into this one conference, and both of us are like, or well, you kind of knew, but I was like, what? This is all just about how to teach a high schooler, which is fine. But
oh, right.
But it's like me as a professional potter going into there, I want to be able to gain something out of a conference. And like they'll have to figure out in the future what their audience is and what they want to gear it towards. But I like where they were going,
Yeah.
I like the direction they were going.
I wonder how the first day, so we mentioned the main demos. The first day is 3 hours, Jessica Putnam Phillips, Kevin Kowalski. And then the afternoon is 3 hours of Kat Tran and Robert Lawrence. Wait, did they spell it? Oh, it is Laware. It's Laware. I'm sorry. I thought it was Lawrence and they misspelled it on something I saw.
Ah.
So each of them did 3 hours, and then the next day they swapped, and Kat and Robert did the morning, and Jessica and Kevin did the afternoon.
Right.
I was like, 6 hours of demos was a lot.
I know.
I almost wonder if like Ryan did his hour and a half demo, and he like cooking show style did it.
Yeah, like
Or
he didn't have
showing
enough
the
time
process.
even. He had to like speed it up. He was like, oh, I only have 30 minutes
Yeah.
left.
So like I wonder what those main demos, if they were able to have different people on each day and show like the best of on day one and then the best of on the day two, where they kind of save their best stuff. I don't know how that would, if that would be a lot more logistics to get people that could be on a stage for that long, but yeah. But also I didn't go into those rooms as much throughout the conference.
Right. No, they kept it going for like, even I know Kat was like, I hope I can get to the head. She was like building a sculpture, and she's like, well, we'll see if we have enough time. So.
Yeah. Because a lot of the process, you're just waiting on like drying and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to make sure you get to everything.
Totally. I was surprised. I didn't really plan out my workshop too much, and all the guys knew that I was kind of stressing over the weekend, just because, and I don't know why, but I never done a workshop, so now if I ever do another one, I won't stress. But it was like,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how you felt it went, and overall.
I felt it went pretty good overall. I felt like the response was really good. I made a lady cry.
Who?
I don't know. She
You almost made me cry at the end there.
I
I
know.
was like,
Okay, so
what?
what happened in my demo was basically I did the whole like here's how you throw fast and like, watch these things and it was kind of like fast. I felt like it was fast paced. Like I felt like I was handing out information pretty quickly.
Yeah,
But
that first hour flies, I feel like.
yeah, it flew. And like nobody had any questions. I was like, did I do a good job or did I do a bad job? but but then somebody asked about the business. Like they were like, and it was I
How does
found
your
out.
business work, or can you talk about your business some?
Yeah, and I found out later that it was a high school teacher. So she videotaped the whole thing. But we went
She
over.
did?
Yeah, she did. We went over the
Oh,
whole
you need to get that.
like the fact of me like a lot of people don't know this, but uh, my very first wholesale client was actually Starbucks, and then I kind of went from there, and then we were talking about like community and how like passion and like and I would say that pottery is not necessarily my passion, but like having the community get involved and kind of like helping kids and like having a place that kids can go and have fun is really what makes it worth it. And then like I almost cried and then Ryan almost cried and then
Cause
this.
I think the things that were with me was when you were talking about when you were initially jumping to do it full time.
Oh
You were
yeah.
talking about your experience with your office job and
Yeah.
kind of you're like, I got this order, but I gotta like, I'm making crap pots, and they've got this, Starbucks is expecting this number of things, and
Yeah.
you had that kind of
Come to
come
Jesus
to
moment.
terms moment with your friend that was asking you about how much you had in your account and how
Yeah.
much you need.
Yeah, because she was like, "How much money do you have?" And I was like, $6,000. She's like, "All right, you're gonna start doing full time pottery. Let's do it." And so then we did. And but yeah, and so I guess this lady came up to Emily, and Emily came up to me later, and she was like, "This lady came up to me, and she was saying how much she like really enjoyed your talk, and then she started crying, and then I started crying, and then like." Uh, but I think the thing is that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but most people that are in a workshop setting that come in and are like teaching a workshop, like usually you would want the people to think that you're like the bee's knees, you're like the cat's pajamas, you're like
Right.
the shit.
You're like buttoned up, and you've got this
Yeah.
presentation prepped, and you're
Yeah.
totally prepared,
And you're totally
and then you're
prepared.
just answering everything like perfect.
Right. And I think that the difference was that I came in and I was like, I'm not the shit. I'm a normal person. I know this part.
Yeah.
And I was very honest and very like real about where I've gone and I was like, you know what? I don't make a ton of money. I don't, but I make enough money for me, you know. It's not like
Right.
I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm not, you know. But and I think that was probably the best part for me is to be able to be like I think it's hard going into those situations and like looking at these fairly well established potters and being like I'm not as good as you, you know, and to go in and be like I'm not that different, and I live in an office.
Yeah.
Like
And I think I don't know if it's part of that or if it was earlier in the talk, and you were like, you're kind of feeling that when you were setting your pots out on the table, and you're like looking at the other people in the room.
oh
Of
yeah.
like who's selling stuff, and you're like, I don't make fancy pots.
I
or
make basic
whatever.
bitch bots. That's what I've decided, Ryan, that I'm gonna maybe I shouldn't say this online, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Um, that I'm gonna start a line of pottery that's called the BB. It could be the B cubed. Becca's basic bitch line. Becca's basic bitch line. Say that like 4 times fast. Where all the pots are just regular cups or mugs or whatever, which they all are anyway, and they all have names on the bottom, like female names, so they're the basic bitch pot.
Like Karen or something
Yes.
like that on the bottom.
Like Susie and Karen and Brenda.
No offense if you're out there listening and you have one of those names.
We like your name.
Yeah.
We'll say Becca is a basic bitch name. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, I think having more opportunities to tease out discussion like that at the conference, at any kind of setting like that, I think is beneficial for the audience. I mean, some people might have been turned off from the like scattered brain that you have when you're up there and you're kind of going back and forth, but
I warned him.
like I think the authenticity and the honesty is, I think people just crave that more nowadays anyways.
Yeah.
People want to see that. With the amount of information coming at you every day through your phone or wherever,
Yeah.
through media, like you want the authenticity and the honesty from people.
Yeah. Ryan Reich was like, you definitely like presented as yourself. He was like, you were you. I was like, yeah, I guess I was. We had a few times that we all laughed because of really stupid things that happened. I brought Andrew Linderman on, and then you and Ryan on. Ryan, did you mess up the first pot?
I did. It flopped.
It flopped. Did Andrew flop one too?
He flopped the bowl when y'all were racing.
Yeah,
he flopped the
bad.
bowl or the vase or whatever.
Yeah. So it was
But
fun.
yeah,
We laughed
that
a lot.
happens.
We laughed a lot.
Yeah.
Just from like people coming up and I don't know, me saying something stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
I overall had a very good time, and I would love to do that. And I guess somebody at the very beginning was like, "Hey, would you come and do a workshop for us?" And I was like, "I mean, I guess you haven't even seen this one. Like, you should probably make your decision after the workshop." But then she was like, "And don't shortchange yourself. Make sure you're worth it." And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And
I think that means price yourself accordingly.
I know, but thankfully she gave me an example of a price. But
oh, okay, cool.
I
actually got approached from somebody about a workshop too that's like more Instagram heavy, which is cool. So
same people. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun. In the overall demographic of the attendees was definitely older than in Sika. I don't know what the average age of the attendees was. I would say at least would you say like over 50?
Yeah, we're talking like 45 to 60 was the age range.
Yeah. Which
I thought was great.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. They all were there for a purpose. They all kind of like, they're intentionally, I guess. That was nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think all of the presenters were the youngest people. Some of the youngest people there.
Yeah.
Well, I have a weird, funny story from this past week. So after I was done presenting, a lady came over to me and was like, "Hey, I'd really like you to watch me throw. Get some tips." And I was like, "Sweet, no problem." And then she like left. She disappeared because I did like a race, and then I was like, "Yeah, we'll do it after this." And then she disappeared, and I was like, "Who was that?" And then a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is her name, her first name." And so then I went on to Clay Buddies, and I was like, "Does anybody know who this was?" And somebody had gotten a picture of me, and then she happened to be right there, so I asked, and nobody answered. But then I did some digging on Facebook, and it turns out, weirdly enough, that two of the people in our group are like, Clay Buddies, or our Clay house group. Two of them got her pots in the pot swap. And and then I actually purchased a plate from her last year because she lives in she doesn't live in San Pedro, but she sells in San Pedro on the weekends at this place called Crafted. And she's got like these really amazing pieces. They're like rainbow, but like darker clay. It's really cool. And it's Attawall Pottery, I think is her name. But I thought it was so funny. I was like messaging her and I was like, "Is it you who wanted help? By the way, I bought a plate from you last year." And I use it on a regular basis. But so that was fun.
So did she reply? Was it
Yeah,
her?
it was her.
And she's in San Pedro, or she sells in San Pedro.
She sells in San
she's not,
Pedro,
like,
which is the exact
where
same.
you're at right now.
I was literally drinking beer yesterday right next to the place that she sells. But it's on the weekends that she sells, so I won't be able to
okay.
go in there.
It's
But
like,
yeah.
Make a house call and show her.
I know, I was like, I can go and help you, but it's closed, so yeah. So that's my fun thing for the day. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay. Cool.
Nothing else. It was fun overall.
It was very
I like
fun.
the down. We had some downtime, you kind of sit around, and I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything.
Yeah.
When I needed to kind of like chill out.
Yeah, for sure. And it was overall cheaper. I don't know about the tickets for the conference. I think they're $160 or something like that. But we paid $100 for 4 days each to share a house. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think the conference pass was $140, and I missed the early bird. So I want to say the early bird was like $100 or something like that, or $110 maybe.
Okay.
And I missed it. So
and
yeah, it's pretty good for 2 days.
You found the house not on Airbnb. What did you find it on? Did you just Google it?
Well, I actually found it on Airbnb because we thought we were gonna have Andrew's pets with us.
Yeah.
So we had to filter by like places that allowed pets, and then I looked it up. Blah blah blah. Saw the price, and then I searched because it was in a complex. I don't know why, but I searched other places that allowed pets just to get a comparable price, and I saw the identical photos of the same place, and I was like, oh, and it was like
it's $400 cheaper.
Yeah, it was a lot cheaper. So I was like, do you want to pay more or do you want to pay less to the group? And they were like, let's pay less. And so the dog part ended up falling through because it would have been too much, and their dog restrictions were like
weird.
The weights were too the dogs were going to weigh too much for their restrictions and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was good, and we split it up between 6 of us, and it was good. I don't know how the sleeping arrangements were upstairs and if everybody was comfortable, but it seemed like there was enough bathrooms and
yeah, there was enough
good stuff.
bathrooms. I think that Andrew and Ryan shared. They snuggled. They were snuggle buddies. And then on it, they had like a king bed or queen bed.
A king bed, yeah.
And me and Victoria shared a room, and I was on this extremely high bed that was really hard to get on top of. And then she slept on the bottom bunk of like this kid's bunk bed. It was like
a 3 bunk bed.
Yeah, it was like a triple bunk bed. And I was like, I'll sleep down there. And she's like, no, it's fine. It's whatever. And it was fine, I think. But
yeah, I slept really well.
Yeah, it was good. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yep, you're making me yawn now.
Is it weird that yawning is contagious through a laptop?
Yeah. You could just watch videos of people doing it, and it probably make you yawn.
Huh. Weird. Okay, cool. Let's go.
All right. Thanks for listening. Let us know if you have any questions about the conference or anything specific.
Yeah.
And, yeah, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you want to follow me or Ryan, you can follow us on our Instagrams. My Instagram is 5 Lines Pottery Studio. It's the number 5. And his Instagram is at RD Ceramics. That's R as in Ryan, D as in Durban, Ceramics. And we would love for you to follow us, but we would also love it if you gave us a review on whichever platform that you're listening on, and if you tell your friends. We really enjoy doing this, and we hope that we can do it some more and have some great conversations. Thanks!